Well, one is by realizing that it's not as gloomy as they promised us. That, you know, while it was gloomy for people who actually lost their job, there were lots of people who didn't lose their job and were gloomy anyway. And whether you have to find new employment or you have to get over the fact that things aren't as gloomy as you expected them to be, I think it all starts in your head, that you either have a good attitude or you don't have a good attitude. People with a good attitude can overcome any difficulty. Certainly wasn't a gloomy year for me, you know, because the gloomier things get for other people, the better it is for me. It fills up seminars, sells books. But, you know, while the television inundated us for 2 years now about how horrible the recession was going to be, and, you know, and what it really did, I think, is taught people to spend their money more carefully, which is not a bad thing. I think many people extended themselves with credit in a way that was just bad news. A lot of people got themselves in deep trouble. They lost their houses. They ended up with tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. And that's because they didn't plan well. They didn't think about living in the future. They thought about living in the present. You know, and in the 60s, they told us that was a good idea, but the 60s are over. It wasn't such a good idea. If you're going to live a long life, you want all of it to be happy. And the best way around that is to plan. And the best thing to plan with is your mind. You have to think about what your life will be like today, what it's going to be like in a year as a ramification of what you're doing. It's one thing to go hunting for a job. It's another to hunt for one you'd actually like, which is what most people don't think about, that this is a great opportunity. Every year when the year starts over again, it's really a chance to refresh your plans, to make sure that you're doing what you want to do, that you're taking care of your kids the way you want to, that you're planning for your kids to go to the schools you want them to go to, and that, you know, that you're headed in the right economic direction. Because, you know, people who are just sticking their hole in the dike, eventually it's going to break. And what you need to do is to plan a little further ahead. This is how I'm going to take care of the present, and this is how I'm going to make my life be a much better place. Christian Bernard, who did the first open heart surgery, said that he did it, you know, hundreds of times in his mind before he actually did it. And that's the good thing about having a brain, is you could run through scenarios. You can imagine what it would be like to have this job or that job or this job, and then you could go out and get some training, maybe work 2 jobs and study at night. That's what I did in college, you know, and there's no reason you can't do that at the age of 30 or 40, so that you end up in the long run having a much better life, so that this kind of thing never happens to you again. Whenever you hit bad times, you can go, oh, it's so horrible, or you can go, there's a lesson to be learned here. And the lesson is you want to feel some never again, and you also want to make sure that you're headed in the right direction. It's one thing to make your way through difficulty, and it's another to come out of it like a rocket ship and go somewhere good. The Great Depression made millionaires like Rockefeller and the Kennedys. All of these people lost everything and ended up doing really well because they had a good attitude about it. They figured this was a rare and unprecedented opportunity. That's a phrase I've heard from all my greatest teachers, is that no matter how bad things got, they looked at it and they said, this is a rare and unprecedented opportunity to build a better life, and to go through in your mind and rehearse enough ways that you can head yourself in a good direction. You know, you can stop anything but a person with a good attitude.